Welcome students to SV Union High School and Junior College. Standard 7th History Lesson 10 The Expansion of Maratha Power. Shah Maharaj won the battle and captured Satara. He got himself crowned. Satara became the capital of the Maratha kingdom. Lesson 10 The Expansion of the Maratha Power. At the beginning of the Maratha War of Independence, the Mughals were on the offensive, whereas the Marathas were on the defensive. This situation, however, was reversed at the end of the War of Independence. The Mughals were thrown on the defensive against the Marathas. In the later half of the 18th century, the Marathas subdued the Mughals and extended the Maratha power to cover practically the whole of India. We shall study this in the present chapter. Release of Shah Maharaj. After the death of Emperor Aurangzeb, there ensued a struggle among his sons for the throne of Delhi. Prince Shah Alam was in the south. At once he marched toward Delhi to seize the imperial throne. Prince Shah was in his captivity. Azam Shah believed that if Shah Maharaj was released, there would be a conflict between him and Maharani Tarabai for the gaddi of the Maratha Chhatrapati. Azam Shah felt that this would be sap the Maratha strength and therefore released Shah Maharaj. Coronation of Shah Maharaj. Immediately after his release, Shah Maharaj marched towards Maharashtra. He was joined by some Maratha Sardars, but Maharani Tarabai did not accept his claim to the throne. The armies of Shah Maharaj and Maharani Tarabai fought a battle at Khed on the bank of Bhima. Shah Maharaj won the battle and captured Satara. He got himself crowned. Satara became the capital of the Maratha kingdom. For a while, the mutual opposition between Maharani Tarabai and Shah Maharaj continued. Maharani Tarabai proclaimed her minor son Shivaji II as Chhatrapati of Pandhala in 1710 Common Era. This gave rise to an independent Maratha kingdom at Kolhapur besides the one at Satara. The early part of Shah Maharaj's life was spent in the Mughal camps, so he had seen the Mughal politics from close quarters. He knew the fine points of the Mughal and especially North Indian politics. He knew the strength and the weakness of the Mughal Empire very well. Also, he was acquainted with the influential people in the Mughal court. All these factors helped him deciding the new direction of the Maratha politics in the changing circumstances. The Mughal power faced the threat of the Irani and Afghani invaders from northwest and also the local Pathans, local Rajput, Jat and Rohilla rulers. The internal competition and tussle in the court had also weakened the Mughal power. Due to all these, the Delhi court needed the help of the Marathas. Balaji Vishwanath, after Shah Maharaj was released by the Mughals, he made Balaji Vishwanath. A Peshwa, Balaji hailed from Srivardhan in Konkan. He was competent and experienced. He convinced many Sardars that Shah Maharaj was the real heir of the Maratha Empire and made them join hands with him. Kanoji Angre was the chief of the Maratha Navy. He chose to side with Maharani Tarabai and attack the territories of Shah Maharaj. This gave rise to a difficult situation. Under these circumstances, Shah Maharaj sent Balaji to fight against Kanoji Angre. Balaji avoided the war and won Kanoji over to Shah Maharaj's side. Aurangzeb's successors had given up his policy of destroying the Maratha power, so the Marathas adopted a new policy. Instead of fighting with the Mughal power, they decided to protect it and expand their own empire in that role. They believed that restoring an old temple is as good as building a new one. Chauthai and Sardeshmukhi writes, after strengthening the position of Shahu Maharaj in Maharashtra, Balaji turned his attention to the politics in the north. The Delhi court, after the death of Emperor Aurangzeb, was marked by bickering and confusion. The Sayyid brothers Abdullah Hussain and Hussain Ali had become very influential. With their help, in 1719 Common Era, Balaji obtained from the Mughal emperor the grants or sanads to collect Chauthai and Sardeshmukhi from the Mughal territory in the Deccan. These sanads gave the Marathas the right to collect 1/4 part, that is Chauthai, and 1/10 part Sardeshmukhi of revenue from the Mughal territory in the Deccan. Bajirao first. After the death of Balaji Vishwanath, Shahu Maharaj appointed Balaji's son Bajirao first, the Peshwa, in 1720 Common Era. He expanded the Maratha Empire during his term of 20 years. Nizam's defeat at Palkhed, the Mughal Emperor Farooq Kishar appointed Nizam ul Mulk the Subedar of Deccan. In 1713 Common Era, Nizam tried to establish his separate existence at Hyderabad. The emperor had given the Marathas the right to recover Chauthai and Sardeshmukhi from the Mughal areas. Nizam was against it. He captured some parts of Pune, Pargana. Bajirao decided to checkmate the Nizam. He defeated the Nizam at Palkhed near Aurangabad. The Nizam accepted Maratha right to collect Chauthai and Sardeshmukhi. As the Mughal power had become weak, Bajirao knew that there was more scope to expand the empire towards the northern side. Shahu Maharaj supported his policy. Malwa in today's Madhya Pradesh was a part of the Mughal Empire. Bajirao sent Mallavrao Holkar, Ranoji Shinde and Udayji Pawar under the leadership of his brother Chimaji to Malwa. There they strengthened the post. Bundelkhand. Bundelkhand means some parts of today's Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh, areas around Jhansi, Panna and Sagar. King Chhatrasal had established his own kingdom in Bundelkhand. The Mughal Subedar Muhammad Khan Bangush of Allahabad attacked Bundelkhand and had defeated Chhatrasal. Chhatrasal appealed to Bajirao for help. Bajirao took a large army and went to Bundelkhand. He defeated Bangush. Chhatrasal honored Bajirao. This is how Maratha established their supremacy in the Malwa and Bundelkhand. Bajirao demanded from the emperor the office of the Subedar of Malwa. As the emperor declined this demand, Bajirao marched on Delhi in 1737 Common Era. The Mughals were taken by surprise. Do you know? Chhatrasal wrote a letter to Bajirao. In that he wrote, "Jo gat ah Gajendra ki, वह गत आई है आज, बाजी जान बुंदेल की, बाजी रखो लाज." My situation is like the elephant whose leg is caught by the crocodile. You are the only one who can save me. The Battle of Bhopal. The emperor felt uneasy on account of Bajirao's Delhi expedition. He invited the Nizam to protect Delhi. Nizam marched against Bajirao with a huge army. Bajirao defeated him at Bhopal. Nizam agreed to secure the sanad of Malwa Subedari for the Marathas from the Badshah. Next, the defeat of Portuguese. The territories of Vasai and Thane on the Konkan coast were in the possession of the Portuguese. The Portuguese ruler oppressed their subjects. Bajirao sent his brother Chimaji to subdue the Portuguese. Chimaji conquered Thane and the adjacent areas. In 1739 Common Era, he laid siege to the Vasai fort. The fort was very strong. The Portuguese had a powerful artillery. In spite of all this, Chimaji continued the siege with the perseverance and forced the Portuguese to surrender. The fort of Vasai and large parts of the Portuguese territory passed into the hands of the Marathas. Death of Bajirao. Nadir Shah, the Emperor of Iran, invaded India. Following the orders of Shah Maharaj, Bajirao set out for the north with a big army to defend the Mughal power. By the time he reached Burhanpur, Nadir Shah had returned to Iran with an enormous booty looted from Delhi. In April 1740, Bajirao breathed his last at Rawalkhede on the banks of the Narmada. Bajirao was a great general. With his valor, he established the Maratha supremacy in the north. He won status for the Maratha power as a formidable power in the whole of India. In his time, the Shinde, Holkar, Pawar, Gaikwad families attended the provinces. Bajirao I. After the death of Balaji Vishwanath, Shah Maharaj made Bajirao first Peshwa in Common Era 1720. He expanded the Maratha Empire during his tenure of 20 years. Nizam, the Subedar of Deccan, did not allow the Marathas the right to collect Chauthai and Sardeshmukhi. Bajirao attacked Nizam and defeated him at Palkhed near Aurangabad. Under the leadership of his brother Chimaji Appa, Bajirao sent Mallarao Holkar, Ranoji Shinde and Udeji Pawar to strengthen the position of the Marathas in Malwa. Mughal Subedar Muhammad Khan Bangush attacked on Bundelkhand. The king of Bundelkhand, Chhatrasal, requested Bajirao to help him. Bajirao defeated Bangush. The king Chhatrasal honored Bajirao on a large scale. Why did Bajirao decide to attack Delhi? The Marathas established their supremacy in Malwa and Bundelkhand. Bajirao demanded Malwa Subedari from the Badshah, the emperor. The emperor rejected his demand, hence Bajirao decided to attack Delhi. About Kanoji Angre. Kanoji Angre was the chief of the Maratha navy. He chose Maharani Tarabai's side. He attacked areas which belonged to Shah Maharaj. Shah Maharaj appointed Balaji as Peshwa. Balaji was sent against Kanoji Angre. Balaji diplomatically turned Kanoji Angre towards Shah Maharaj's side. About Balaji Vishwanath. Balaji Vishwanath was a prominent Maratha Sardar. He hailed from Srivardhan, a town in Konkan. He was industrious and experienced. He convinced many Sardars to join hands with Shah Maharaj. Kanoji Angre, the chief of the Maratha navy, was against Shah Maharaj and sided with Maharani Tarabai. He was sent against Kanoji. Balaji avoided the war and diplomatically turned Kanoji Angre towards Shah Maharaj's side. Thank you, students.